Among the Newars, the responsibility of arranging marriages traditionally rests entirely with the parents. Although the influence of parental control is gradually waning among the younger generation due to modern lifestyles, Western education, political freedom, and economic factors. In the traditional process of arranged marriage, the father typically enlists the help of friends to find a suitable girl for his son. Once a potential match is identified, an intermediary known as Lami is appointed to initiate negotiation with the girl's family. If both families agree to proceed, the girl's parents send their daughter's horoscope to boy's parents through the same intermediary. These horoscopes, along with other factors, are then analyzed by an astrologer to determine the compatibility of the prospective couple, which ultimately determines the feasibility of the marriage. As an initial step in marriage rituals, 10 betel nuts and a rupee enclosed in a silver pot, lampicha, are sent to the girl's home by the intermediary. The marriage is only formally confirmed once these gifts are accepted by the bride's family. Subsequently, approximately 15 days later, the groom's parents sent a gift consisting of seasonal fruits and peanuts to the girl, a custom known locally by Sisafusa Nakechoe, which continues until the month of the wedding. In the month leading up to the wedding, a customary gift of sweets is sent to the girl's home known as lakamari. These sweets, called lakamari, are exclusively used for matrimonial ceremonies. Made from flour and pulses, boiled in ghee and dipped in liquid sugar, these sweets are over a foot in diameter and more than 3 inches thick. Alongside the sweets, it is customary to include some dried fish. Each time the fruits and sweets are sent through the intermediary, known as the lami, both parties serve him wine and eggs. The sweets and fruits are not only consumed by the members of the girl's family, but are also distributed among her close relatives and friends. 4 days before the wedding ceremony, the boy's family sends 3 individuals to the girl's house with gifts and food. One of them is a taba, who presents a golden bracelet called kala to the bride. The second person is a japu, a member of the Newar cultivator caste, who brings gift and food to the girl. The third person is the lami, who introduced the bode or taba to the girl and also presents food sent by the boy's family. On this day, the girl is required to consume only the designated food. The emissaries are treated to a feast at the girl's house, and a family sends food gift to the bridegroom through the same japu. The bridegroom also partakes only of this food on this day, facilitating the exchange of food between the bride and groom, known as kala nyaneku choe. Following the kalya, the bride's close relatives and friends extend invitations for her to visit their homes, keeping her engaged for 4 days leading up to the wedding. Its visit is accompanied by feasting, marking a farewell to the girl before her transition into her new family. On the day before the wedding ceremony, the boy's family sends approximately 1 gallon of milk along with some molasses and cardamoms to the girl's house. This ceremonial offering, known as Durdai, serves as a symbolic repayment to the girl's mother for her nurturing care. That evening, a grand feast known as Paina Biebue is hosted at the girl's house, exclusively inviting relatives and friends of the girl and her family. The guest presents the girl with various household utensils as a part of her dowry, referred to as kosa. Additionally, the maternal uncle typically presents a sea goat, the mother offers a mental vermilion pot called sinamo, and the father provides a bronze mirror known as Jwala Nyaka. On the same evening, a marriage procession of a male guest, accompanied by musicians, departs from groom's house to the girl's residence. Just before this, a traditional musical ensemble known as Panchabaza, a torch bearer, and several carriers of dolis, palanquins, advance as a prelude. Upon arrival, the girl's family warmly welcomes all the guests and musicians by presenting various kinds of dried fruits and betel leaves. Following this reception, all the guests, except for the select few close relatives who remain overnight at the girl's house, return to their respective homes after receiving the fruits and betel leaves. This ceremony is known as Losa Wanegu or Janta Wanegu. At midnight, a farewell gathering is hosted by the girl's parents, during which the girl's mother formally hands over her daughter to her designated intermediary, the Lami. At this juncture, the bridegroom's father presents the girl with a pair of silver foot ornaments known as tutibagi, literally translating to carries of her foot, and a small brocade purses containing betel nuts. The girl adorns the foot ornaments and distributes the purses to her parents and close relatives, symbolizing the imminent moment of her departure. This gesture prompts a wave of tears and lamentation. Subsequently, the girl is escorted downstairs and placed into the doli or palanquin. Her father-in-law drapes a brocade shawl over the doli and accompanies her to a friend's house. Along the way, a playful exchange occurs in front of the local shrine between priests representing the bride's and groom's parties, where the girl's father-in-law assumes responsibility of her welfare in the presence of the deity as a witness. This ritual is known as Bamsa Khanlyai. The girl spends the remainder of the night at her father-in-law's friend's house, accompanied by the ladies who accompanied her. This practice, known as Sisitae, ensures the timely performance of traditional rites as prescribed by the astrologer. Early the following morning, the father-in-law accompanies the bride in a palanquin, leading a procession through the main streets, accompanied by musicians, to bring her to his house. Upon arrival, the bridegroom's mother eagerly awaits her at the adorned main gate, ready to welcome her with traditional rites known as Losokosoyae. As the bride is brought out of the palanquin or car, her mother-in-law performs the welcoming rituals. The final ceremony unfolds as the bridegroom's mother ceremonially cleans the bride's feet with holy water, presents her with a key, and escorts her into the house. Once inside, the bride is seated near the sacred fire altar, Yasna Salah, with the bridegroom positioned to her right and the Lami to her left. Traditional rituals are conducted by the priest, often eliciting laughter from relatives and guests directed at the bridegroom. At the conclusion of the ceremony, the Lami places 10 betel nuts into the bride's hand, which she offers to the family deity before presenting 10 betel nuts to each family member in succession. While distributing the nuts, the Lami introduces the family members to the bride. Finally, the bride rises and stands before the bridegroom. The Lami then places 10 betel nuts into the bride's hand, which she offers to the bridegroom before bowing and tossing his feet with her head, symbolizing her humble submission to him. This pivotal ceremony, known as Onkigu, marks the formal recognition of the bridegroom as husband and the bride as wife, signifying the culmination of the marriage rites. Following the preceding ceremony, a special matrimonial feast is arranged for the newlywed couple. A large round bronze plate, taibo, adorned with an array of food varieties is positioned before them. It is a rare occasion for the bridegroom and bride to dine together from the same plate, marking a significant moment in their married life. This ceremony, Tayabo Nake, serves as an engaging spectacle for the attendees. Later in the evening, a grand feast, Pasta Boy, is hosted exclusively for relatives and friends of the bridegroom and his family. Guests may partake in various foods except for curds, wine, and sweets, which are served by specific individuals. The son-in-law of the bridegroom's family serves curd, while the bridegroom's mother, assisted by his maternal aunt, serves wine. Following sweet, the bridegroom, often aided by his maternal uncle, serves sweet. Subsequently, the bridegroom's father expresses apologies for any perceived inadequacy in the feast. During this time, the bride sits alongside the Lami, visible to departing guests. On the subsequent day, the bridegroom, bride, and the bridegroom's mother and her close relatives share their first meal of rice together, symbolizing the bride's inclusion in the family. On the fourth morning, the priest arrives to conduct worship at the altar. The bride is seated before the altar, and various hairdressing articles and religious items are sent from the bride's family. Standing beside his wife, the bridegroom assists in dressing her hair as per the priest's instruction. This ritual, known as Sanpyakeku, involves combing her hair into 5 plaits and applying various oil. Spectators gather to witness the event, and if the husband struggles with the task, he may face playful taunts from the onlookers. Upon completion, the bride is taken to the family deity, where she worshipped while the bridegroom applies a red tika or vermilion dot on her forehead. This act, Wanjala, marks another crucial stage of the marriage, granting the bride permission to see and worship her husband's family deity. In the evening, a festive atmosphere prevails as everyone indulges in practical jokes and merrymaking. Various food items may be cleverly disguised as sweets, and water may be served in place of liquor. Relatives arrive in various disguises, singing and dancing before the guest. Following these jovial antics, a lavish feast, Pakna Puja Bue, is served to all the attendees. On the same evening, the bride's father, accompanied by a group of his friends, pays a visit to his daughter. They bring along an assortment of presents, including clothes, fruits, sweets, etc., which are presented to the bride. Other guests may offer monetary gifts. This occasion is known as Kuoso Wanigu. The bridegroom's family hosts the guests with wine, sweets, dried fruits, and betel leaves. After the reception, the bride returns to her parental home with her father. An invitation is extended from the bride's family to the bridegroom, conveyed by an attendant. The bridegroom, accompanied by a priest carrying a bottle of musk, proceeds to the bride's house. Relatives and guests eagerly await their arrival. Upon reaching the destination, the newlywed couple is given a special seat. The priest sits to the right of the bridegroom and the lami to the left of the bride. The lami then places 10 betel nuts into the hands of the bridegroom, which he offered to the family deity. Subsequently, he distributes 10 betel nuts to each member of the family. After the distribution of betel nuts, a feast is hosted for the bridegroom's party. At the conclusion of the meal, the marriage party is served with betel leaves and dried fruits. Following this, the party departs with the bride. This parting ceremony is known as Ducha Yakiku, symbolizing that from that day forward, the bridegroom is free to visit his father-in-law's house. With this, the marriage ceremony concludes on the fourth day, and from that evening onward, the husband and wife are free to embark on their journey together. Thank you.